Okay, so last week when we introduced this chapter, we introduced polynomial functions, things that have larger exponents on them. So we're not just doing quadratics anymore, we're doing larger examples. So we talked last week about how one way we can factor these is to use methods we already know from when we solved and factored quadratic functions. The problem is that those methods are not always going to work. And so what we're going to be looking at now is another set of methods, and we've got multiple ones to try, in order to be able to find the factors of a polynomial function, okay, or a polynomial equation of some type, okay? So we're going to deal mostly with cubic equations and quartic equations today. So one method that we can use to factor is to divide. Now, let's just do a real quick review. So for example, if I wanted to know if something like 120, let's do 6. If I wanted to know if 3 is a factor of 126, okay? One way that you could find if 3 was a factor is you could divide it, okay? And you've done long division before. So obviously you would do 12 divided by 3 is 4. And this is the long division process that you learned back in 4th or 5th grade. And then 6 divided by 3 is 2. So we would get a remainder of 0. And if we get a remainder of 0, then we know that this number 3 is in fact a factor of 126 because it comes out evenly with no remainder. So what we're basically going to be doing is we're going to be basically determining whether or not a polynomial is a factor of a larger polynomial, okay? And we can do that by using two different division methods. One of them is to kind of use a process similar to long division that you've used before. The process is the same, but we're dealing with polynomials, and that's called long division. For the most of you that took Algebra 1 with me, we did learn this method in a chapter, I believe it was chapter 6 of Algebra 1. Just learning how to do long division with polynomials. Synthetic division is a new method, and I think once you get the hang of it, you're going to prefer this much more to the long division method. So we're going to take each method one at a time, but essentially all we're doing in these examples is basically determining whether a factor, and in this case we're dealing with polynomial factors, so something like this, okay? Basically determining if that kind of a factor would be a polynomial, or a factor of the polynomial that we are trying to factor. Okay, so in the next video we'll get started with long division first.